What's going on, guys? This is the DeFi Crypto Alliance show where we're doing our best to be the bridge between our fellow real estate investors and entrepreneurs alike and the cryptocurrency space, where we all know crypto is the biggest opportunity over the next few years, and it's not even close. Welcome along on the journey. We're pumped to have you guys here. Corey, take it away.
Absolutely. Corey here, just having a beautiful morning with all you fine folks where we're going to use crypto as that wealth creation tool and use real estate or business acquisitions or even oil and gas as a wealth preservation tool. And we're just having a blast on this journey with you guys. Wrapping up 2023. This will probably be our final show for 2023. Being that this is the New Year weekend, I hope all you guys have plans with you and your families. Try to stay somewhat sober, just a little bit, maybe. Don't get in too much trouble. We're just going to have a blast going into 2024 and on this wild ride with you guys. I feel like we are setting up for some parabolic price action in the cryptocurrency markets as a whole. And come on and join us today, guys. Let's talk everything crypto. Let's talk everything real estate. Let's talk everything money. Let's talk about the new year and what you guys are seeing and how you think it might play out. I see Frank in the chat. Frank, come on in, man. I see Norbert. Norbert, come on in here and let's wrap and talk about what we think is going to happen with our ecosystem in 2024. So I'm excited for it. I know I've talked about it the other day. I'm part of Han's private group, and Hans thinks by his prediction by Bitcoin halving or before, Pulsechain will be at sacrifice price. And somewhere in the middle of 2024, we will start to really start having upward momentum, and by 2025, we'll be breaking out of all-time highs and going into price discovery, which means, there's no more sell pressure because people who've gotten out. And on the chart, it's no man's land. And we can see, 10X, 20X, 30X, 100X, who knows? And so I'm excited for it. I'm here for it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I got JC in here. Hi from Puerto Rico. Thanks for consistently great content. Looking forward to connecting after the new year. I am thinking, I was telling Corey, I think that our family will be in Puerto Rico. I'm negotiating a lease right now. I think we'll be out there February, and we'll sell our house here and just make the jump. So that'd be cool. Have you guys seen, man? Sprack says we're gonna do a 10,000x. Let's do it.
Are you set in TA? Because if you are, you got to get on the show right now and show us, and then we'll go ahead and invite West Coast Crypto while we're at, and we all can sing "Kumbaya" and.
That's right. That's right. No, but have you guys seen? I just like. In fact, I'm curious. Well, never mind. It's not a crypto topic. It'll be boring for everybody. Needless to say, there's scammers everywhere. I'm trying to offload a few cars right now, and these freaking guys reach out, act like they're interested, and then they want you to buy these car reports to check the accident history, and they're all fake. The reports just put money in their own pockets. They're not real reports. These freaking guys.
I'll talk about scams. You know what scam I went through with the Corvette before I moved to Puerto Rico? I was trying to sell Corvette just locally on the Auto Trader myself, and I got a guy who reached out. He texted me. He's like, "Hey man, I'll buy the Corvette. I'll send you a check in the mail, a cashier's check in the mail. I want you to ship it to me." Like,
in your dreams,
bro. Well, if you give me a cashier's. Yeah, give me the cashier's check, and like if it clears, like whatever. Like I mean, it was like 100 at the time. I was asking for like 120,000 for the car. So I'm like, you give me 120 grand, like I'll ship you the car.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I'll ship you any car you want for 120 grand. And I get a check. I get the check in the mail. It comes in certified mail. And I go down to the bank and I was like, okay, Is MFing check real? They take 2 looks at it and they go, nope. It's like, what? Like, did he expect me to deposit this check and then I guess maybe wait for it while it's clearing to ship him the car? Like, I have no idea how the scam played out if I went through the whole thing. The bank obviously saw that it was a fake cashier's check right at the bat, but that was an interesting scam, or at least attempt to scam that I went through. I don't know.
Yep.
What's up, Bree? Norbert?
How's it going? That's a pretty
Oh, man.
My freaking mic just fell off.
Hello, guys.
It sounds like a similar scam. I was looking at an apartment to rent on Craigslist. And I'm like, oh man, that's a really nice apartment at a really decent rate. And they're like, yeah, just, you go walk over there and kind of look at it. I'm out of state, but if you ship me a check, you could totally move in. I'm like, He's like, I'll ship you the key. I'm like, okay, let me think about this. I ship him money. He ships me a key to nowhere. I can't get in an apartment. I'm like, I don't think so, buddy.
We would
I have one for you from
real estate. Would you get that, Corey, where they'd call you? We'd have a house that we flipped on the market and get people calling us, oh, your house is for rent. Wanted to get more information. No, it's not for rent. And they would create a listing. They would copy the listing and put it as for rent. And same thing, try to get people to send a deposit to be able to get into the property. No, it's not.
I haven't had that happen yet. No.
But they forgot to change your phone number.
Well, people just go digging around and they'd find my contact info if they did more due diligence, and then they'd call me. Yeah.
You know what's funny? Like, all these different scams we just pointed out, like, there had to have been times where it worked, like where they actually made money. I just can't picture a world where I would have shipped the car to the guy without the money clearing in my bank. Like, who does that? Like, and somebody did it. Like, somebody's had to have done it because these are common scams. I'm just I don't understand. It's wild to me.
Yeah.
Inexperienced and uneducated people tend to do those things. I sent some money to guys when I started doing crypto. It turned out it was like a Nigerian scam group, and they had over 400 websites, and it was so nicely done. You had your own platform, very professional. Money was growing every day a little bit, not too much, and then at the end. But regarding scams on property, I have a really good one for you. We had this gypsy guy in Hungary called the Frog. Yeah, he was one of the sneakiest guy you ever seen in your life. And one of our friends had the chance to look after a property, a nice boy and girl, the siblings, rich neighborhood. People went on holiday or whatever. They said, can you stay here for a few months, a few weeks to look after the property? He said, yeah, of course, we like you. But somehow they knew this guy, the Frog. Yeah, the Frog was calling them one day. Hey, how are you doing? What's going on? And they're like, oh, we're just chilling in this new house. We're looking after. Oh, okay. What are you? Oh, I'm here. Okay, I drive by. I say hello. He went there. He took a few pictures, put an advert up, for rent the place. And then he brought a nice couple a few weeks later to show them around. And then he's like, yeah, so this is the guest bedroom. And then my friend was sleeping in the room. And then it was like, oh, Frog, what? Oh, excuse me. And the couple was like, oh, I'm sorry, but who was this young boy, by the way? Oh, this is just the gardener. Don't worry about him.
That's a good one. I like it. I
like your hex tiles on your roof ceiling, Norbert.
It's a very old school. It's a very old school place, but it's hexagons everywhere, man. Yeah. But I'm still poor. Someone pointed out last time on Twitter, I can't even afford the lampshade. It's just the bulb hanging down, like that.
You can buy more hex or go buy a lampshade. I'd rather buy hex.
What I'm buying at the moment is ink token because no one wants it. No one wants it. The supplies, I know that, it's inflating supply, but it has a game theory that is being reduced as the time goes. And if you compare it, that back in the days when we were all yield farming on Pulsex, you were getting a few, and then it was 80 a piece. Right now you get it for like 60 cents a piece, and for about
It's
if you
$11 million
get like
market cap.
yeah, $11 million market cap, and if you get like over 1,000 of those, you become a dolphin. And I'm like, in any RH ecosystem, I like to be a dolphin. You never know. I can swim later on with the big boys one day. I'm not there yet. I'm not a dolphin. I'm still a squid. So I'm trying. But yeah.
And it's non-OA. That's another interesting.
Oh yeah.
Dynamic.
That's a good point.
I think the OA has a bunch of ink.
And then if you think about it, like
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So I think the way it got a bunch of ink, and I think this is actually pretty bullish when you really think about it, was that when Pulsex first started up, Richard approved a certain farm, and that farm was a Bitcoin to Bitcoin farm, and
I remember
there
that.
was a ton of Bitcoins moved over into Pulsex, from what I remember. And basically, my thinking is that Richard probably had a ton of Bitcoin, and he probably had them on the Ethereum chain. And so, and he was probably using them to earn interest using Aave or something like that. And so all his wrapped bitcoins got copied over into pulse wrap bitcoins, and then he had the legit thing too. And so I think he created those farms and created the Bitcoin farm just to soak up a whole bunch of ink, because who in their right mind is going to move over tens of thousands of bitcoins in the very, very early days of Pulsex?
And wasn't that farm open
Richard.
just for a really short period of time?
Yeah, it wasn't open for a long time,
Right.
but it was there for probably like 1 or 2 months or something.
Yep.
But hindsight being 2020 with ink, the best play for ink was, if you're farming it, was to sell every single coin every single day until right now. Like, and who knows? And here's the hindsight part, is that it could drop another 50%. So maybe buying it right now is not the right moment to buy it. You know what I mean? If it goes down another 50%.
Well, and
but
we've
with that
seen,
said,
so I pulled the ink chart up. I mean, we've seen, so you've got some market structure right here where it's trending up versus Pulse, but we've seen that before, right? Here's an uptrend against Pulse here. This is on the daily chart. So that was almost a full week. Like here's another, this one's really brief, just over a couple of days. Here's another uptrend. And so, yeah, how far does it go? It definitely could fall. Yeah, another 50%. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Remember, fellas, all your coins out there, it can always go down another 50%. Just remember that. If you went down 99%, guess what? It can go down another 50%.
Yep.
Yeah, but if you someone joined us.
What's up, Frank?
Hey guys.
Hey, Frank.
Am I okay? Can you hear me?
Frank driving the tank.
Yeah, you sound like a pilot from a flight.
I may jump off because my connection's not that good. So, but hi guys.
Welcome.
Welcome. Happy New Year.
And also, like one more thing about the ink token is that imagine, guys, that ink token is like the blood of the Pulsex, the whole ecosystem, because if thing is worthless, then why would anyone come to our platform to provide liquidity and attract new money? And okay, the price of ink token is very low right now, but look at the volume as well. Like if you look at the beat, it's like this afternoon I've done something which I'm happy about because it's cheaper, but it was like 135,000 beat. And when we were really, really pumping, it was like 8 million beat, so it's like a big difference in volume now compared to how it was before. And I don't think that Richard would take the time to create like a tokenomics around the token that is deflationary as the time goes, and then, like I said, is the base of the whole system. So it's not going to be
Actually,
like
I had a thought about, Richard wouldn't like not, make this thing useful, right? I had a thought about that. Uh, Basically, like hex.com. There's been very, very minor improvements to hex.com since it launched. Like the one improvement was like they put the calendar on there.
Yeah.
And now they just recently kind of cleaned up some of the tabs. Like you can't see all the adoption amplifier stuff. It's just stake and whatever the other option is. I'm thinking, I'm like, Richard would obviously improve the tokenomics for ink to make it better, right? But then again, he's never really improved the hex.com staking site since it launched. It's been kind of stale, in my opinion. And I've been looking at the Go Pulse guys and now Hex Scout. I'm like, man, look at these websites. They're so pretty. They're so like they look nice. The colors are good. And I look at the hex.com site. I'm like, kind
Dated.
of yeah, kind of dated. So I'm like, man, he never really did much to, no expectations of work from Richard, that's for sure. But I don't know. I think he will do something for Inc. But the another thing you have to think about is that after its first year, the issuance is going to be cut in half. So that means the yields that it pays out will also be cut in half. Um, and is and either one or two things have to happen. Either the value of the coin has to go up to make the mining or the farming of it worth it, or the yields will not go up and people might start migrating the liquidity out of PulseX into more lucrative options. And so it's either the price has to go up or it's going to I think people will start leaving the system more or less. So I believe the price is going to go up. I really do. I don't think Richard's going to let all his things die on the vine. That just doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense to me.
It don't take much for him to initiate the price again, right? Like even certain farms added in, like that's why we hit the $80 range was when he added that PulseX Inc. and Pulse Inc. farms. That's when it blew up. So literally just hit by doing some new farms could do it. There's also rumors or people saying that he might attach it. Yeah, that he might attach it to the the wallet. Who knows? Or there's stuff he could do that would that could pump the price, and literally you'd see go up overnight. And we know that it could go to $80 if if we got enough buy pressure. So
Right. And Joe's got a good question. He's got a few questions here about liquidity providing. So generally speaking, so up here, Joe asked about the version 1 farms. So you nailed it here. If you went into the Hex Pulse farm and both Hex and Pulse went up 5%, then your position as a whole also appreciated 5%. Your ink is worth whatever it's worth in that time frame. And then similarly, yeah, if one of the sides goes up 5%, one of them up 3%, then technically if you pulled it at that instance, you would be down just a hair because they didn't both appreciate at the same rate, and your more expensive tokens are being sold down for the less expensive tokens. So that's where your impermanent loss kicks in, and you would be a little bit of a loss, if you will, if you sold at that moment on your initial LP position, not factoring in any rewards that you would have earned. So that's how you think about that. Great question. So looking back, Briz, you've been farming there over on PulseX. what have you been doing with? Well, I'll ask you. You don't have to share if you don't want.
No
What have you
worries.
been doing with your ink? Have you just been holding them? Have you been selling them off?
Actually, kind of recently, I yanked a bunch of my liquidity off of PulseX farming. I was suffering the impermanent loss, and dang, dude, I'm gonna. I, I realized I was farming with a little too much of my bag, and we'll just say, I lost over 1 billion pulse so far to 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 impermanent loss. I was like, you know what, man, I don't know about this anymore.
Was
So
that on the, like one of the ink pulse pairs? Is that where
yeah,
you're?
like pulse pairs. Well, I had a bunch of pulse pairs.
Sure.
And so yeah, so I was losing a whole bunch of pulse because ink was going down. Therefore, it's like, oh, here's a bunch of ink. It's it was at like $10 a couple weeks ago. Here's a whole bunch of ink at 60 cents.
Right.
So I'm like, oh man, I got a bunch of ink now and a lot less pulse, and I'm like, I don't really like that. So I yanked a bunch of my liquidity, and then I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if it was me, but immediately after I did that, that's when the Pulse X farm came up, and it was almost like Richard was like, "Oh man, this guy just pulled a whole bunch of Pulse out of the liquidity pool. Maybe here's a Pulse X farm." Like, here, go back with the Pulse X and ink farm. And so I actually recently just put a little bit into there, and I'm like, all right, let me kick out a couple more bucks an hour type of deal. And
Sure.
so I don't know. I'm farming a little bit over there, but not as much as I used to be. And now I
And
got
what are you doing with the ink token? I mean, you don't have to answer, but are you holding, or are you holding them with anticipation of something coming down the road?
I am. I'm holding the majority of my ink. I am now. Like at this point, I've acquired my goal amount, and now I'm converting it into like other coins that I'm like, I want to get a little piece of the pie. Like recently, I just did a little bit of PW Bitcoin, Pulse Wrap Bitcoin. I'm like, I don't know. I was like started thinking about it. I'm like, man, I really freaking want this coin just in case Richard wants to use it for marketing purposes. I mean, if the
Right.
Pulse Wrap Bitcoin went to 500K or even $1 million before the real Bitcoin, I think that would cause so much commotion in the cryptocurrency, communities. It would bring a lot
It
of
would,
eyes.
but he funded his Christmas video, and it literally tanked the price of it too. It was like around $80 a coin, and now it's at like 60. I don't know where it's at, 60 something. But it tanked because he funded it on his Christmas video.
He
Talking
did,
about how it
right?
got about how the company who made the Wrapped, they have admin keys. They can go in there and inflate it if they wanted to. I don't think they would, or that would. It's like an imaginable horrible, but like he funded it. It's like, because I was slow. I've got a little bit, I don't have much, but I was looking for more entry. I want to DCA into it also. I was in the same camp as Yuri's on this,
Yeah.
but then he went and funded it. I was like, man, what are you doing, bro? That's
Yeah.
my one favorite. That's my one favorite copy, I guess you would say, that's over here. So
Well, when P-Dye goes to $1, you guys are gonna miss the boat if you put it into.
I'm missing that boat, I guess.
I just want to address Paul Sachs in the comments. You also get impermanent loss if one of the things that you're farming goes down more than the other one. You will have less of the ones that are slightly up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because I was doing the ink to pulse set or pulse farm. Shit, my fucking thing just came off. And and so yeah, so I received a whole bunch. I DCA'd into ink, but I lost a whole bunch of Pulse doing it. Now I think I was actually looking at it though. If I were to sell the majority of my ink, I would get back all my Pulse.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I'm not completely out or at a loss, I guess.
yeah.
But I don't know.
When those farms launched, yeah, I was in that Bitcoin farm early on. Those first 30 days, I mean, I made 20 grand in Pulse in the farms in that first month,
Ooh.
and I sold all my ink pretty close to the top. But then I went and put it all into Pulse, and that that didn't fare so well. So I played it part way right, dang it, but not all the way. Yep.
Man, I don't know what the heck.
Might
Sorry, I'm
be
having
issues
microphone
with the,
problems.
So, what are your guys' thoughts? Here's one for you. Sami's been putting out some videos where he's participating. He says in as many launch pads and some of these memes as he possibly can. He's taking small bets everywhere. What are you guys' thoughts in regards to a strategy like that? He's placing the bets and then punting it out for till later next year. Do you guys like throwing a bunch of spaghetti against the wall and seeing if any of it sticks? Have you guys had any success that way? I haven't. What are your guys' thoughts there?
I've been tossing around a lot of spaghetti with my sacrifices. I totally think, truthfully, there's enough money in this world for all of the projects on every chain, every blockchain and almost every dApp. I mean, the truth is, like, if you can get like Saudi Arabia to come in with like $500 billion, I mean, it's just gonna raise the market cap of everything, I guess. Um, but there's, but at this moment, it just feels like crypto. There's not enough people coming in right now. Like, I recently just got a text from a friend, just like the other day. And he was like, well, Briz, it looks like Richard Hart's on the run, and Pulsex and Pulse is, doing really bad, and I just don't really see how this is going to work out. So, what's the best way for me to sell? And this is coming from a guy that I know. He put in like 30 grand around like 30 cents. Right. And so he's like, I'm just gonna take the loss and do a and tax harvest. I'm like, bro, please do not sell at these prices. Like, this is the ultimate fumble. And he is kind of, I think, the ultimate normie when it comes to cryptos. Like, he's not following any of the stuff that we're following. He's a professional. He makes a lot of money at his regular job. He doesn't really need cryptos. I remember when he got into the Hex sacrifice, he was waiting for Hex to do a move. He bought into Hex, and it was like he was waiting for it to go. I forget what it was. It was like at 19 cents, and he was like, "All right, I just need to see it go up a little bit, and that confirms the rally up or something. And then he can ride it all the way up." And then, like, that was at 19 cents, and then he saw it at 25 cents, and then he bought in at like 27 cents, and then it just crashed all the way down. So my point of all
Welcome to
this,
crypto.
yeah, he's kind of like a normie trying to use normie tactics in crypto. It's not working out for him, and so he's like, I want to sell at these prices and tax harvest. I'm like, dude, you are
I like it
fumbling
for
the
the
bag.
tax harvesting purpose. That's not a terrible idea.
Yeah,
He could sell and rebuy back in. Like, I'm not a CPA, and in fact, that's why I live in Puerto Rico, so I don't have to deal with this crap anymore. But that is a strategy I hear people do. They'll sell and then rebuy back in, and then that way they can go and tell their CPA, "Oh, I lost X amount of money on this particular trade." Right?
Yeah,
This 30K is only worth $1,000 today.
I know. I
It's
feel
like
so bad.
Yeah.
That'd be-
So
that'd be a
what's the
good-
point of doing
That'd
that?
be a good tax harvest. I like it.
But the problem is, Corey, is that
Does he buy
he's
back?
not the kind of
Yeah.
guy that's going to buy back in.
Sure.
Yeah, you'd want to make sure that you. In fact, I'd buy back in and buy like throw another 10 grand in there, right? Like take our loss, and then come in with another 10 and reestablish a stronger position.
Yeah,
And he'd only get a tax harvest. Now he's buying the bottom. Like that would be the play, right?
but
That's
the
play.
problem with that is that he's like, okay, well, I just threw 30 grand in. Now you want me to throw
I
another
know.
9 grand in?
Well,
But no,
here's
you're
what
totally
you
right.
could do. He could buy another. I mean, you could double your token holdings by just putting another $1,000. Like you could split your cost basis in half. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's a better normie way to look at it. Like just another $1,000. Like what's it to you? You got the money. Like I don't know. That's an idea.
When people text me that, Breeze, I've had a few people text me that that came in. They for example, they sacrificed Pollux, and they didn't put any more new money, and they like text me, "Oh, hey, is this a scam? It looks like it's going to zero." I'm like, no. I say, you need to reset your cost basis. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, the market's telling you need to reset your cost basis. That 0.0001 is no longer in play. Like you have to come in and reset your cost basis if you want to try to get that 20, 30, 50, 100x out of this token now. That's how I explain it to them. They're like, oh, well, and I get it. Like if they put 30 in, it sucks and da-da-da. But like then I'll explain the Australia DA because I've told the story many times on this show. Like I started Breeze buying Hex. So when I got introduced in the Hex ecosystem and Rich Hart was during the Pulsechain sacrifice. I'm a latecomer, right? And I was in crypto before that, but I was freaking DGen and all this stuff. I was on the Phantom chain. But like, so I came in late and I was buying Hex at 30 cents, like a freaking noob. And, but now my cost basis is like 2 cents. It's so far down because I loaded in so much money in the lows that like my cost basis is completely reset. We have any kind of upward momentum from where we're at now. I'm in profit. Like you have to I got to tell these stories to people before they can wrap their head around it and understand why and what the market cycles mean and how we made a mistake by coming in during the bull run and we have to reset the cost basis now. And that's how I explain it.
Yeah, no, totally. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people, especially maybe if you get in like friends and family, they kind of look at crypto as like a lottery ticket. They're like, all right, here's my $500 lottery ticket. And then they never buy back in. And, who knows? Maybe they hit it off really good if they bought in at a really low level. But the problem is that, it's not a lottery ticket. This is a new way of life. It's a new financial system.
For us, it is.
Yeah.
And talking about life, if I may jump in, is really amazing the way how this conversation started, especially this topic, because recently I was thinking about life and decisions and stuff like that. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but I started learning about trading. I want to become like a proper day trader on top of my crypto investments because right now crypto is not flying. But when you start doing crypto and trading, let's say, or any of these financial products, if you think about life, if you start at 1, let's say when you're born, and then when we leave this life, let's say at the end of your life, you have the potential to reach 100. So as we go, we learn, we gain a new experience, a new knowledge, and it's like a weapon, or like a shield. You start using it, you keep going. So moving to your friend, it just doesn't make any sense. If he makes good money, then he should think much bigger than 30K, because if I make a lot of money, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I make 30K on tax savings. Yeah, it's 30K, but then what's the cost potential which I'm losing if that works out? And then number one, and number two, if I only invested as much as I can afford to lose, I don't have any attachment to that investment. That's why when I open up my portfolio on DBank, it's like whatever, it's just another number on another day. So I don't have any attachments to it. But if we go and think about these things, it makes you think that, okay, what kind of decisions are made previously, what kind of man I am, like am I a patient person? Could I improve to become a bit more hanging on to things and then try it again, look at it again? Like I said, I almost gave up on crypto, and then Corey and Dane gave me the push to get back in and learn a bit more. And then also Axis helped me a lot, and Cryptoslov. So the four of you was a significant motivation in my life to not giving up and then just carry on going and doing the things. So we just have to improve. And this regarding Dane's question, what he asked, that somebody made this video about these platforms when you can ICO and IDO and whatever. The way it depends on how much money you have. For me, let's say if you bring up the spaghetti version, I have a spaghetti, but only the noodles left. Yeah, I don't have any sauce. I don't have any Parmesan cheese to throw it against the wall. Yeah, so I'm holding on to my noodles, and then maybe later
Big
on
limp
down the
noodle?
line, spaghetti, bolognese. So let's say the pasta, left of the whole thing. Because my portfolio is down and I don't really want to add more, because then when it's gonna end, then yeah, fine, it can work out. But I reached the level when it's like, okay, I'm quite deep in Richard Hart and a few other things. It's just no point pushing it. Of course, you could make more money, but then you become dependent on one type of thing, one type of income, and that's why I started learning about trading. That I want to have another type of income, another sort of skills and knowledge in the future. And I'm just active on yield farming, and the yield. I always say that I'm using it wisely. Some of them I keep, and I'm building up that bag. Some of them, if the price goes up, I check that as well. Okay, the reward token, how the reward token price is doing today. Yeah, it's doing pretty well. Okay, so now maybe it's the time to exchange it for something else, which I also like, but then it's down on price. So then I can increase the potential in the future to get more gains.
Yeah, I like it, Norbert. I think it's smart to build, whatever other skill set it may be. We talked about it a bunch on here, and you nailed it, Norbert. Having some sort of other thing that you do in order to be able to fund your crypto investing. Now is certainly not the time to be trying to live off of it, in my opinion. And so finding and building other skill sets. And it's interesting how you talk about, Norbert. I think that you have to build a mental framework for yourself. And this is a good life skill in general, right? You have to build a mental framework to be able to make it so that you have a mindset to be able to win. Whatever you think it looks like to win, however you think that needs to be accomplished, you build a framework and you think in such a way to be able to promote that. And so, like, for instance, as an example, like the hex that I bought at 40 cents that I staked out for 15 years, like, honestly, I don't count it as anything. I count it as being gone and lost. Because for me, like, as a mental framework, like, it's easier just to consider it gone than like consider it down and me worrying about whether or not I'll be in profit on that ever again. Now I think there's a great chance that I could be, right, but it just causes me pain to consider that. And so to avoid the pain, I just count it as a loss. And if it does something, it does something. And that keeps me in the game so I can keep building the positions I do believe in, that I believe in for the next bull run. And you create a mental framework for you that makes sense.
And halfway down that long stake of yours, Dane, as far as I know, if you reach half time of your stake, you can take out the initial. So that means that stake of yours in the next bull run, I'm sure hex gonna be like, way much higher. So you wouldn't even care, even if you take half of it, even if you get the initial back, your gain is gonna be significant compared to what you spend. So it's gonna be happy days anyway.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. Yeah. So we'll see.
So going back to your question about the launch pads and Somi, what are those launch pads like? Because I heard of like pulse pads being launched on the Pulsechain and things like that, but I don't know what those pulse pads are or the launch pads are.
The launch pads are what I know is there's two way of doing it. Number one, because in my first run, sorry guys, I'm just gonna cut it quickly. When I done my first run in crypto, we were investigating these launch pads, and there's two way of doing it. The first way is you have a lot of money, and then you buy the launchpad token, and then I think the smallest, the most affordable launchpad was about $15,000. So you had to have a minimum of $15,000 of that DAO or whatever token in order to get allocations in new projects coming out later on down the line. So I don't want to put in 15, 20 grand right now in a launchpad and then get allocations. Maybe I'm missing out on something, but whatever. And the second way of doing it is you participate, you like, you share, you sign up, you test, you do this and that. And I'm sorry, but I don't have time for those things. I rather, like I said, I do something much more significant, which is like I'm not going to be dependent on. Yeah. That's what I know about launchpads.
Can people in the chat bully anonymize Zoo Crow for me? That guy is a real jerk. He's saying Bitcoin's going to zero.
So that
the biggest mistake you could ever make in crypto is telling yourself and convincing yourself that this time it's different. Every time somebody says this time it's different, no, it's never been different until it's proven. Like I've seen that so many cycles. I seen Chiropractic. One of the guys, his name was Chiropractic up here. He was asking about when he should get out, and it's just like, tell yourself that this time it's different. But more than likely, ETH will peak out 31 days after Bitcoin because it's not different. It's done that twice before. So.
And then altcoins will peak out a month after Bitcoin, right? Typically.
Yeah, a month to 3 months after that. I mean, look at what Hex did. Like what, 3 months after, 2 months after ETH. Yeah, so. Everything just rotates.
There is only one thing about these going back to the past that is always getting the same thing. The next cycle might not be the case in the future, because obviously the whole crypto space is evolving, developing and maturing. So, and now that the VC money is getting involved more and more, then it might not be like that, like before, when it was a bunch of guys, playing with the internet money as a geeks, and then say, yeah, my token is going to be the best. Now, if it's more mature and more money and then more equally spread out the token count's going to be, then people are not going to be able to manipulate the market that much. And, if a few guys want to get out, then happy days. And what you're going to do, you're going to get your worthless fiat, and then you're going to watch it that is every year is 15% less. And I think is even much more, because like I said, in London, you need to have £500,000 to get a small 1-bedroom flat in the neighborhood, which I'm like, do I really want to live here? £500,000 for like a freaking flat, and then like listening the neighbors and things like that, or hey, I told you already that. Because right now I'm hearing that the neighbors always bugging the guy, why you don't take out the rubbish and shit like that. I don't want to live like that, and it's £500,000, like it's just crazy. And I make like what, if I'm lucky, 25-30 grand a year, because in London is be a much less paid than any other European country, and especially the US as well. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting times, but yeah.
Yeah, and I would go far saying you're right, Paul, because just how Unbanned Productions said humans like pattern. That's why TA so people can be successful with TA if they're good at it, is because it's just human emotion, and it's what we go through every single time, and people think it's going to be different, but humans aren't different. We're the same. We're emotional beings and we follow patterns. It's who we are. It's like, and that's why it's not different. And that's why this time is not going to be different. There's variations, and you're right to the point, Norbert, where the variation might be the gains being made could be limited on this market cycle or something to that nature, right? Like there's going to be some variance. That's in that history never repeats, but often rhymes is very true with every in all markets, whether it's real estate, whether it's crypto, stocks. History often the history never repeats, but often rhymes. Is a very true saying, just because humans repeat over and over and over, not only our wins, but our mistakes and our losses. Everything we do in life, we always repeat, and we always repeat each other. It's wild.
Here comes World War III.
It could
That's
happen.
the one
bro.
cycle
Like,
that
yeah,
has it. I'm happy. Thank you. It has not repeated.
Yet.
I'll take the 4-year cycle over World War III any day. Thank you.
Well, and that's like, I think you nailed it, Paul. Like, what else do you have to go on? I think you have to go on the data that we have and make decisions based on that. And if World War III happens and the internet goes down, well, we have bigger problems than whether or not our crypto went up. You know what I mean? So you place your bets and you ride those things.
It's like it's just
you know,
Black Swan anymore.
I don't know what the ultimate trading coin is going to be before World War III, but I know we're going to be trading sticks and stones after World War III. How about that? There's a little Einstein modified quote.
Once
true.
again, we'll have far greater problems than our little internet queens.
Absolutely. What's up, Sprack? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's
Hey,
up, guys?
he'd be the one to ask your Launchpad question too. He
Yeah,
he
I
has a
wanna-
bunch of them.
I
Yeah,
got
he knows
another
about that.
question.
Telling me about it yesterday.
Is this lefty loosey and righty tighty, or is this reverse?
No, it's not reverse.
It's only getting.
You got to go grab a flathead to get the brass. The brass comes off that though.
Is it lefty this way or is it lefty this way?
Look at.
He's been fighting with his mic all morning.
I'm just holding it now.
I'll help you afterwards.
Come off.
I'll help you afterwards.
All right, come on over.
Yeah, tell us about some of the how do these launch pads work, Sprack?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
gotcha.
We can.
Yeah, so basically the way the launch pads work is you buy these tokens and you stake them on their site. And what that does is it gives you a lottery ticket. And so for every token that you have, it's one entry into their lottery. And the more tokens, the more lottery tickets. And what happens is what they do is they'll go and find a new project that's launching, and they'll acquire an allocation in the pre-ICO. And then what they'll do is they'll say, okay, we're going to, offer a share of that to our launchpad participants. And the good thing about these launch pads is that they can't rug pull. So the teams actually have a massive amount of the tokens locked up. And something that was popular last cycle, like with Trust Swap and with Paid Network and some of these other really good ones, had a very good success rate. And so, like, let's just say that you were part of that, and you've got some allocation. In some cases you can put in $100, $500, because they were small. You were one tiny fish in like this big pond, and that's okay. Maybe you got a $50 but those allocations, when the token actually hit the market, would generate like a 30x or a 40 or a 50x right when they hit the market. And so that's the other thing that was good about these launch pads, is that they controlled how many tokens were going to be sold into the market when the project launched, and so you didn't have a bunch of the supply coming on and dumping the price and just cratering it. As a matter of fact, in some cases it was the opposite, where it just shot up. So the token, so they control the tokenomics. This is the Launchpad team, and they control how the supply gets distributed, and different holders have different sizes, and different launchpads have different requirements. And in some of them, I think the model is that if you're a very, very big holder in that token, you get a guaranteed allocation. Not just the lottery ticket type of thing. Like most of the stuff on Binance is lottery ticket launch pads. But I know that TrustSwap had like if you had a minimum of like 10,000 tokens at some point, you were guaranteed an allocation, and the allocation was determined by how many tokens the project was willing to allocate to this particular launchpad, and how many people were participating in the pool, and your size in the pool, and that's kind of how it worked. But you don't necessarily have to buy the token and participate in the IT, although you could get a great ROI on that type of a trade. But what I like about the model is that nobody's selling the Launchpad token, because if you sell your token, you're out of the lottery. So it's kind of like a lockup, where it pulls the liquid supply out of the market, and then people start buying this up to participate in these ICOs. And at the frenzy of the peak of the bull market is when things really get cooking on these launch pads.
Interesting.
So instead of all the launches we saw on Pulsechain, where everything was a race to the door, that's what
Correct.
we saw with most price charts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. And you're saying
Brax,
that's less likely to occur.
It's controlled.
Yeah. Huh.
Do you see any launch pads that are still undervalued? I mean, Paid Network has already been pumping, and it's like, I'm not going to go buy a Matt Green Candle.
It's
Like,
90%.
is there still opportunity?
It's 90% down from its all-time high.
Paid Network is still 90% down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
C2Fi paid. There's one on AVAX called Shavax or XAVAX. That one is, all of these tokens have recently popped up in October because there was kind of like this sign of hope and optimism. And so like if you were buying these things during the bear market, it was very, very high risk, because you didn't know if the team was going to come back, if they were going to actually do this. What you had to be paying attention to inside the Telegram groups and hearing what was going on. And I picked up a few of them. I wish I had picked up more, but I'm buying every single pullback.
Interesting.
L1s too, or just the launch pads?
Bigger positions in L1s and smaller positions in launch pads. I'm treating launch pads just like gaming tokens. There's like a gaming token narrative, and then there's an AI narrative, and then there's this launchpad narrative. But the larger position, it's L1s, competing L1s, because again, like, they're when ETH starts to really, really skyrocket, those fees are going to get crazy again. I'm already seeing the fees on AVAX. Paid $9 to sell some shit coin, and
on AVAX.
On AVAX, I was paying 6 cents for the trades, and I was like, just trading shit coins, whatever. But the frenzy at the peak of that token, I was like, okay, I'm gonna sell this position. I paid $9 to get out, and this is very, very early still in the bull market.
Oh yeah.
So I think AVAX will get clogged too. and I think
Yeah.
people will
So
migrate
AVAX
to
ain't going to be the gaming chain then. Which one do you think will be? Because that's like
IMX. IMX.
Okay.
At least it's got the most it's got the first mover advantage, and it has the largest market cap out of the gaming tokens, and it was specifically designed to be a gaming layer 2 solution on Ethereum, and they're using a lot of the ZK EVM rollups that Matic was now adopting, and they've partnered with Matic too, so that they can have some of their gaming the token launches on the IMX chain. So I have some IMX. Are we allowed to talk about other coins on here? Okay.
No, man, you're gone.
I'm everywhere, dude. Sorry, but not sorry.
In fact, I'm curious more, Sprack, about like your approach in general to crypto. It sounds like you're holding, you're very diversified. Is that fairly accurate to say?
Extremely accurate to say.
And when you're diversifying, how are you doing? Because I think it's funny. Everybody's like, "Well, no financial advice. Do your own due diligence." How do you reasonably do due diligence if you have money spread everywhere? How do you approach that?
So I don't sleep very much.
You're just up and at it all the time, huh?
Yeah, and I also have limit orders on things. So in case I'm, so you get a pump like at over the weekend or at night or some weird scam wick, you could make some nice profits by selling, like above you. And then I picked up some near protocol the other day on an exchange, and I just had a cheeky limit order like 2 support levels down. And I always keep 10% cash in my trading accounts, and I just put stupid orders down there, stupid limit orders. And if there was a wick and it picked me up on IMX, and it was like a 80%, like just.
Oh, your order got filled.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, things like
me doing my due diligence is being on this show. I'm doing my due diligence right now. I'm like, hey, Sprackburger, what's a launch pad?
So I'm also in like 5 Telegram groups and 4 Discord servers.
You're all over it.
Again, I don't sleep much.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, we'll have to talk about. Okay, so where do you feel like, as far as your holdings are concerned, I'm curious, where does Pulsechain and things associated there kind of fit into your plan? Yeah.
So I'm actually now in profit on Pulsechain, Pulsechain, and again, this goes back to like what Corey was saying, where like you sacrifice some, you didn't know how much, how well those things would do. But then when the price tanked, you kind of brought your average in. And so what I did was, because I had some pretty good trades this year, and so I'm cycling those profits back into PulseX and Hex. And so now my cost basis is way down, and let's just say a break even ish for the most part on the RH ecosystem. It could have been a lot better,
Sure.
but you buy the depression and you sell the euphoria. The Solana trade was incredible. That one was a 10x, and I trimmed it and dumping it back into PulseX and things like that.
Nice. I like it. Is our Pulsechain holdings, are those some of your larger positions, or how do you feel about those in general?
It's a pretty big position now because of how I had to lower my cost basis.
Gotcha.
But I didn't want this large of a position, but I guess it could end up becoming
Right.
the next great trade of 2024.
Sure. I like it. Well, that was good. Thanks for giving us the lowdown on launch pads. That's probably a good place to wrap it today. We've been going for a little bit, or right at about an hour. Any last parting words, Corey, before we jump off?
Man. I mean, when guys are talking about, launch pads and other ecosystems, for me, I'm also participating in other stuff, not a huge amount, but I'm like the whole Sami camp. Sami talks about 90% core, 10% of like 10% lorry, right? I will participate in a few gaming tokens this cycle. Maybe I will buy a little bit of paid network if it has enough pullback. I know it was pumping. Maybe it's still 90% down from its high, but I believe in allocating a little bit, and then bringing it back to RH ecosystem. I mean, people know I do a little bit of Titan X, the biggest Ponzi of all crypto right now, and I'm participating in it, right? And but don't sell your core bags to go into this stuff. That's my position. You can do what you want. You can go buy bonds for all I care. I'm not giving financial advice, but I don't sell my core for this stuff. I build on my core from this stuff. I'll bring new money in and I'll see profits, and then I build my core up. And so that's kind of my thoughts on all this. There's nothing wrong on participating in some of this stuff. We're not maxis by any chance. So Sprack Burger, you can always talk about other coins on the show. Like Breeze is a Bitcoin guy. He holds Bitcoin. I mean, so I mean, we participate in other stuff. I mean, it's I like crypto as a whole. I don't like to be like, oh, I'm only buying Hex only. No. Like, I want to build my Hex bag off of other things. That's my goal. So yeah, those are my kind of parting words. Other than that, you guys better have an absolutely amazing holiday. This New Year's coming up. Spend it with family. Spend it a little bit sober, just a little bit, and have a good time. So.
Absolutely. Thanks, you guys, for jumping into the show today. Those of you that were brave enough to come on, thank you for those of you guys in the comments. We appreciate you guys. Catch us next week. See you guys.
See you guys.
Later.
Peace.